So thanks everybody for joining us. So in preparation for the start of early voting, which is February 10th, UTC's Mocs Go Vote Committee is asking City Council candidates to speak with high school and college students, talk about the future of Chattanooga, answer their questions, and share their vision. So joining us now is current incumbent and candidate for District 3, Mr. Ken Smith. So Councilman Smith, I will hand it over to you and you can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the invite and the opportunity to speak. Give you a little bit of information about myself. I am finishing my 8th year as a city council person. So I have been serving for almost 2 full terms now. I am running for another term. It's been an amazing adventure. So this is probably a good way to describe it thus far. I actually got into this to begin with politically I'll say on this side, because I did a lot of behind the scene work for many, many, many years before I decided to run for office, really due to education. You know, my first stint was an interest in school board, and that was in 2009 and 2010. So I did a tremendous amount of work there, had kids in school, wasn't happy with some of the things that were happening. The next step is how do you impact change, and went through all those progressions. And then ended up being asked to make a run for the city council, being able to make change on a greater scale for the entire city of Chattanooga. And we ended up winning that race in 2013, and I have been running ever since, doing a lot of different work out here in District 3. So District 3, I'll tell you really quick, is predominantly the Hickston area, but it's everything north of 58 and everything east of 153, with some areas west of 153, just a couple spots in that area. So that is my district. Lived here most of that, let's see, 10, oh my gosh, probably 14 years now in this district. I've been in Chattanooga for 31 years now. Moved here specifically to go to UTC and refused to leave. I had no family, nobody else here. I came on my own, and I literally fell in love with it to the degree that I just didn't want to go anywhere else. I've been very fortunate for my professional career. I always knew what I was going to be since I was a little kid, and that was something in IT. I always loved technology. I've always tinkered. I've always written code, built machines, everything from the ground up ever since I was young, and I was able to make a career out of that. So I can pretty much do what I do anywhere in the world today, but I still refuse to leave the city of Chattanooga. So it is something I consider myself a Chattanoogan by choice, and that was really due to everything that I found here. And really the future of Chattanooga to me is one in which my kids, I've got 3, I've got a 22-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And for me, it's about what they grow up to think about the city of Chattanooga. I want them to leave, explore, enjoy life. But, you know, my legacy, I've told the people in what I've done in office, I hope is one in which they can be proud to say that they're from Chattanooga, and they can return here, not because they were born here, but because of the opportunities that are presented to them here. And that's just kind of been that goal in the back of my head that has kept me straight and grounded since being in office.
Great, thanks. I'll turn it over to Annabelle, I think, for the first question.
I think I'm going first.
Oh, sorry, I got it wrong. Brianna.
No worries. I'm Brianna Brady. I'm a senior political science student at UTC. I'm going to cut to the chase. So this summer, a lot of constituents vocalized their concerns about the fiscal year 2021 budget and their changes they wish to see with it. And you did not vote in favor of altering that budget. You voted for it. And so I wanted to ask what commitments you have now and what your stance is on racial equity and justice going forward as a city council member.
Big question, and honestly, probably not one that we could even discuss in a 15-minute interval. So I will answer it as quickly as I can. I am honestly very fortunate in this district to be in a position of also being able to spend time and help some of my colleagues in other districts. And a lot of that time I have spent in 8 and 9, predominantly what you would also consider under-resourced, and just to be honest and blatantly honest, ignored segments of our community for years and years, going back, not necessarily today, but for years. And that builds up and it's hard to overcome. You can say, hey, we want to do this, but it's not quite that easy. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. And you have to be able to get in and do the hard work and understand that. So I have supported many of the initiatives that have been brought to this council, specifically to address situations where, again, some of the areas in our city, and some are neighborhoods, some are districts. It really varies, but fighting to ensure that they have the resources that are available to make sure that they have opportunity in a lot of those neighborhoods. And of course, you get mixed. You're never going to make everybody happy. If you can make 50% of the people happy, you're actually having a good day. And so you've just got to strive for what serves the majority of citizens as best as possible and what you believe to be safe. And you have to take into consideration the amount of hours that a lot of council people spend is informational. We spend a tremendous amount of time doing research, and really, unless you're there in every meeting day in and day out, 5 days a week, and sometimes on the weekend, it's hard for everybody to be as knowledgeable about all of the issues. And the budget's one of them. It's over a 300-page small print budget, back to back, page to page. And no, I didn't agree with the changes that were being requested. I made no bones about it. Now, what I do agree with is we can absolutely begin. We've started to, but we've come nowhere close to putting the level of attention that we need to in other areas that we can service our citizens, that serve both our Chattanooga Police Department and the citizens. I don't believe our police department years ago was ever meant to do a lot of work that they are being tasked to do today. Was never meant to do that. But it's easier to say, just have somebody respond to a mental health case than it is to do it. I don't know how many people were requesting that actually sat down with our partners in mental health, like the Joe Johnston organization or social service workers, friends of mine, many of them that have told me there is no way they will go on a call without a police officer with them. There is no trade-off. It always requires a police officer to be present until we figure out how to solve who is able to determine what type of response is needed. Is it the person on the phone calling in? Do they know that it's a more quote unquote non-violent case? Or is the 911 operator qualified to make that decision and to know who to send? There's a lot about that needs to be figured out before we can just say, start sending different people to respond to different calls. So I am all ears in ways that we can come up with that kind of system, but to just suddenly say, no, we're just going to switch, doesn't work. And the people that you're trying to switch it to are not in agreement. So it's a larger picture that has to be understood from both sides. So again, I could probably kill this entire clock and talking about this one subject. So I'll stop there, and please, I'm happy to be more specific. I'm not trying to dodge the conversation, but there is no way to answer that level of question in such a short period of time for the work that I have done and the people that I've met and have helped throughout the entire city of Chattanooga.
Annabelle, go for it.
Okay, my name is Annabelle Hill. I am a junior in high school at Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences, and I'm also a member of the Chattanooga Mayor's Youth Council. My first question to you is, as an incumbent member of the City Council, if elected, what, if anything, do you wish to do differently this term as opposed to your previous terms?
Different. So different's going to happen to us whether we want it to or not. Just COVID in and of itself requires a different approach. And a lot of that does have to do with a change in resources. I think we're going to find that our budget is going to be significantly impacted. I think we're going to find that there's things that we never had to spend money on that we're going to have to spend more money on. I think there are areas of our community that we're going to find and be shown even more clearly that don't have the health resources that they need. While the city is not responsible for health in general, the county is. They are still our citizens, and we are still responsible to ensure that they've got all the resources that they need, whatever that may be that the city can provide. And I think a lot of those things are going to happen to us. So what I would do differently now is really more responding to situations that are being placed in front of us. I mean, when I first ran, I had a number of priorities. They haven't changed. They are still the priorities of my district. So I will continue to focus on those. There won't be a significant change there, but as a direct representative in my district, but as a citywide representative, there's a lot of challenges that I believe that have been placed upon us and that we will discover and continue to discover over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. None of us really know yet. It's a complete unknown. So to be better prepared in planning, knowing that we're going to have some hardships ahead is one change that we are going to have to take into consideration and be prepared for. That is a big difference in how to approach this next term.
Awesome. We have about 5 minutes, looks like. My next question is that the Hickson area is obviously continuing to experience significantly high rates of growth. How do you plan to control housing costs so that those who have lived there for a long time, as well as those looking to move to the Hickson area, can afford it?
So this honestly is more of an issue in a lot of other segments of the community rather than Hickson. And I explained this the other day. It's kind of like a victim of our own success to some degree. Chattanooga gets all these accolades. We become the greatest place to retire and the greatest outdoor city in the country. And people move here and all of a sudden prices go up and there's no housing inventory. So naturally, when there's no housing inventory, the prices go up. And then it increases property taxes. And then you have people that have been in their homes and have owned them their entire lives, or they're multi-generational, that they're suddenly getting priced out of their own homes. That's not new. I was the one who implemented the senior tax freeze specifically for this reason. It doesn't help everybody that doesn't fit within that bubble, but it helps a significant portion of our community that does fit in that bubble, whose income doesn't adjust. Just because the cost of their property went up, their income does not. They can't suddenly afford more. That was actually my legislation. So it's understanding some of those things and the implications that they have across the entire community. And that was citywide implementation. So while it doesn't affect my district as much, it does some. But the way my district is growing is we have preset neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods aren't really expanding. We don't have a whole lot of land, honestly, out here that is developable R1. We have some, but it's going in areas that are very comparable to what's currently there. So the impact isn't as significant in most of the areas that I represent. They're pretty well established from a neighborhood standpoint. But citywide, I have definitely acknowledged that approach and, like I said, championed and got passed legislation to help individuals in those areas, at least our senior population, one that we did have the authority and power to impact. I can't stop a property owner from selling their home to a developer. I have no legal way to do that. So what we have to do is encourage people and give them resources to allow them to be able to afford to be in their home and be happy and safe within that neighborhood at the same time.
So my next question is, what do you see yourself doing on the city council that will help Chattanooga retain the talent of young people who are currently receiving their high school or post-secondary educations in Chattanooga?
Love that question. I'm in IT. I would hire a high school student in a heartbeat over a lot of people that have multi-year talent experience in the industry, if I could find them. It is a struggle here, plain and simple. There's a reason that we recruit outside of Chattanooga. There's a lot of talent, specifically in the tech realm, that is not as homegrown as we would like it. So what I have done over the years, I've been heavily involved in like tech councils, UTC, any of the educational institutions, a number of the high schools, and then with the businesses that are coming here, from a Volkswagen to a Gestamp. I was at FreightWaves for a long time. We grew from nothing. I was one of the first employees there to 160 in a year, hiring a lot of people locally, but then also doing mentorship programs, apprenticeship programs, things that you can bring people in, give them the, not just experience for being able to move on, but experience to be successful there at that company if they choose to. So working with organizations and companies coming in and getting them on board with doing some of those programs internally to help build our local base and help increase and improve education here. We've got some programs, I believe it was Gestamp, that's got a computer lab at a number of our schools, at least one, I think two now, at the high schools, where they've got robotics and everything, and they funded that. So it's working with businesses to do those types and implement those types of programs within our schools to help create not just assistance at that time, but it's to teach them a trade that they can use to go and apply for and get a job at that company at a later time. So those are all things that we've been doing for years that I've been very active in, and I plan to continue to do that.
We have about a minute left, so if you have one quick question, I'll whoever wants it. No pressure.
Nobody?
Go for it, Annabelle.
Okay, I'm not sure how quick this could be, but answer it quickly. So how would you describe District 3 in its current state, and how would you like District 3 to be described by the end of your city council term should you be elected once again? And explain your role in this.
District 3, great place to live, work, and play. It's not downtown. It's 20 minutes away, but you feel like you're further away. You literally get away when you come out to District 3 as far as the living. So you think about Big Ridge and a lot of areas, lots of trees, lots of space, large property lots in a lot of cases. It's very quiet. So there's a lot of people that come out here for that. But at the same time, they crave new restaurants. They crave new businesses. So for 8 years, I have been pushing development from the standpoint of other opportunities for restaurants, small businesses, boutiques, businesses like that to continue to grow so that people can enjoy being here and staying here. So Hickson, I don't mind that. I mean, I love that they travel all over the city, but spending all your money at Hamilton Place or all your money downtown doesn't help the marketplace out here when we're trying to grow that base and other businesses are looking where money's being spent. That's where they open. So continually encouraging that so that businesses see that there is great opportunity out here, and it literally becomes a more cohesive community to, again, live, work, and play. There's activities, there's food, there's variety. Those are the things that I want to be able to leave behind from District 3 when I am done serving.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, we're out of time, but thanks to Annabelle Brown for good questions and Councilman Smith for thoughtful answers and for joining us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you.